for free that could end up making you a better player, or just eat something with Mark's graph paper method. Hello and welcome to another fantastic, entertainment-filled guitar graph paper method video, or graph paper guitar method. Is that what I named it? So here, what I have for you in this any mode, anytime, anywhere video is for guitars, the Pentatonic box. Tried and true, the same old one, you know, the one that you can play that cool old solo with. Yeah, you heard that one before. Anyways, this box here is what you need to know. You'll notice I've drawn two M's in the box, one orange, one green. And I should have wrote down here on the charts major and orange for minor. So on this pentatonic box, the easiest thing to know, and you can make this your next note in your notebook, is that the minor pentatonic, if you didn't already know, can be major or minor depending on where you mount the root note or put the root note. So for example, if my root note in the solo or in the scale if I set this pattern up over the orange M for minor, everything I play based on that root note is going to be minor. So for example, by root note I mean let's say some music has a low E ringing out, so I'm going to try to reproduce that now. Give me a second. So there I was trying to bring everything home to the E and play that shape over the, mounting the orange M over the E at the 12th fret. Now I'll do the same thing, but I want to make it major this time, so let's do the same thing. Same low E note, same E root. major and minor. Major and minor with the backing notes. Major. Minor. As you can see, they both really pop when you play them back to back with each other. Much like somebody who's really good at this, and you've probably heard this happening in a lot of good neat little songs there. Can't name any off the top of my head, so never mind on that. But that's the first thing you need to know to find a mode anywhere on the guitar and play in a mode, not just in a major scale. Without really having to understand a whole lot yet. How this works is, this helps you pick up your guitar and play this stuff, and then it makes it musical. And once it's musical, and it's under your fingers at the same time and in your mind's eye, then you're inclined to go, oh, okay, I understand this. Now I see this makes sense to me. You'll have more of those enlightening moments with the instrument in your hand, being able to play along with all this crap. So, okay, so major and minor, right? Well, geez, I don't know. Modes sound so much more confusing than major and minor. Nope. Here's a simple note you need. Write this note down in your own notebook. All you need are 6 of the modes, really. Those would be based on major or minor chords. The only last mode, there is one more. As you know, there's 7 modes. But the last one is Locrian. And you don't need to know Locrian because it just is based on a diminished chord. It's going to have the oddest sound of all. It has a purpose and a place. If you need something that sounds odd, you will use Locrian. But anyways, you don't need to do that for a simple video here on finding any mode. And, just a word on why would you want to find any mode? Well, I'll have to make maybe a separate part here, or maybe I'll show you another note on the expressions of the modes. There's an order of expression, just like there is an order of them on the major scale. Here's the basic order that you find when you are searching for them in a scale. In a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You can build a major chord, a minor chord, a minor chord, and each of these chords has kind of a different function, and when you build a scale off this note, it has, of course, its own unique sound. And so those sounds can be organized in a different note, and that note will be non-existent, so I'll make it some other time. But that would be the expressive order. And so, isn't music about expressing your moods, right? So, if you want to be expressive and really unleash your full potential here on the instrument, you want to know different moods. We'll get to what the moods are, but let's just know, how the heck do you find one on the guitar and know what you're playing and know what you're doing? So, if someone said, hey man, this is in Mixolydian. Oh dude, this song is in Lydian. I don't know if you're going to know it. Do you know what Lydian is? Hey man, we're playing a little bit of a Dorian vamp here, but then we're really kicking it into Phyrigian here when we play that 3 chord. And you'll know exactly what this means if you fool around with this graph paper method even for a little bit. So anyways, make this know and know this. You have 3 major and 3 minor then to deal with. Not hard. this one, this one, this one. Associate these words with major and these words with your minor modes. And when you hear the modes, you'll just associate them. You'll just hear the sound. If you hear a sad mode, you're dealing with a Dorian, Aeolean, or Phyrigian. And if you're hearing a happy sound, it's Lydian, Ionian, and Mixolydian. And notice the order here. This is the sound order from brightest to darkest. You have brightest. You'll have a lot of songs by Joe Satriani that are, just kind of anything that has to do with, like, flying higher above and angels, and wants to sound a little more majestic, a little uppity. There's a sound in there that creates the most major sound of them all, the brightest scale. Back into normal reality, your ground level scale here is your Ionian. Happy, Mary Had a Little Lamb, every normal song you've ever heard, and Row, Row, Row Your Boat, and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and every other thing. So Mixolydian gives the Ionian a little twist. It's starting to fall apart. It's starting to get into a little bit of this minor area, but it's not yet. It's still got that major third in it, so it creates a happier sound. It's a very dominant sound. So this is a little bit more to the point than Ionian. It's got its own unique sound. I'll try to manipulate it in E here. Yeah, that was Mixolydian, dudes and dudettes, in E. So how did I do that? Well, I happen to know that major and minor pentatonic trick, and that's what does it. But you just got questions. So wait a minute, Mark, how can that work? A pentatonic is only 5 notes. That's some random 5-note scale. Well, actually, pentatonic is not as random as you think, and a pentatonic is absolutely and totally related to a major scale. So much related, it overlays a major scale, meaning that you can find this pattern all over the major scale fretboard. So let's map out a fretboard chart, a graph paper fretboard chart, like we know we've done in other videos. And in each box, instead of labeling it C, D, E, F, G, the note names of a C major scale, or any other scale you want to fill it out with, you are going to put in there the 7 names of the modes, so you can know which interval corresponds with which mode at any time, in any scale, anytime, anywhere. So let's get to drawing that. Here we go. Okay, here we got Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolean, Hambonian, Karaokean, Hexatonian, Plutonian, Housepartian, and Nickelodeon, Slombonian. And here we go. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, here we have the this graph chart drawn out, the same old major scale graph chart that involves the box of 4 notes that repeats very easily and handily all down the fretboard, creating that cool pattern. And we have labeled in the boxes the corresponding mode note, or mode, not note, mode, the first letter of each mode to let you know which mode it is. And 2 modes share the same letter, which is our Locrian and Lydian. So with the Locrian, I always put an X for Locrian here, because that's the one that's like, yeah, you don't really have to worry about that. Playing a mode from that note, it's going to be a diminished chord, and it's going to have a very, very, very unique sound, which will have a purpose in certain settings, but very few. So you can just basically not worry about that one, and just worry about your most common Ionian, your 1, 4, 5, your blues, what do you know, have the most commonly used modes, but those not limited to the using the second here, the Dorian, the minor Dorian, and the minor Aeolean. So, you want to know how to grab one of these anytime, anywhere, any key. Never fear. Graph paper method is here. Getting back to this note, you have to know this code here, major and minor. So let's say someone said, oh my god, give me a G Dorian right now, G Dorian. You needed to play G Dorian. Well, you knew that Dorian was minor because you memorized this little chart here. And then you found a G note on the guitar. So you know G minor. Well, the cool thing is, if you use your pentatonic trick, it works here. We know that minor uses the orange note of the pentatonic box. So if we put a pentatonic box here, we have the first 5 notes available of the mode that we need. So without having to really know anything, you can, if you don't know anything other than this little box here, which by studying your graph paper, you should start to expand on link all these boxes together, you will know what G Dorian should sound like, and it would be like this. Ooh, I hit a wrong note there. Let me try again. So I took the box and I added in some gut notes to make it Dorian, full Dorian. But anyways, that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I mean, I'm losing an earpiece here, so that's driving me nuts here. Okay, sorry. So let's say somebody said G Lydian. Okay, all you would have to know is how to put the major scale. Find your G note on your E string. Let's go to that page here. The next thing you would actually really want to know now is to chart out your E string. If you don't already have your E string memorized, if somebody said G sharp, you find your G note. You already know where your G note is, and you go sharp. And this way is flat. So, G, slide down a fret for G flat. Someone says B flat. There's your B. Go flat. B sharp. There isn't. C, for all intents and purposes. C sharp. D flat. D sharp. That's how to easily never worry if anybody says sharp or flat. You just find your major notes and you slide up sharp or flat. So now you have all 12 notes quickly and easily identifiable on the 6th string. That is your first way you're going to be able to play in any key, any mode in any key. Because if somebody says, hey, D Dorian, okay, you can find a D note, right? And you know that Dorian is minor, so you start on the orange note of that pentatonic box, and rewind the video. Here, I got it right here. So put the D there, and you would have 5 notes of the D Dorian. So then it's about these gut notes right here. You actually have a combination. You can play this one and this one, or this one and this one, or this one and this one. This one and this one are not used. So you have 3 combinations here of any time. Remember, there's 3 major and 3 minor. So you're going to have the 3 combinations of pentatonic boxes you could have are 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play that for you starting with this on the D note. And I'll even make it musical for you by playing a background note of a D. And we're in a minor. We're going to explore our minor modes here. Oops. There's your 5-note minor sounding pentatonic. Now, you can have a box, as I said, right here, and that will sound like this. If that sounded kind of Egyptian Latin, you'd be right. Now I could put my box attached to the front rail here, and that'll sound like this. If that sounded minor to you, but had a tinge of hope in it, that was this note right here that did it, because that was the different note here when we used the square all the way over here. Now let's say we use a half and half square of this, these two, and then these two. What will we have? We'll have the scale. My bad. Let me take that up a half step. Now if that sounded just straight up minor, serious minor, didn't have a tinge of happiness, didn't have anything too exotic to it, well, you just heard the natural minor scale. Now you know why it's called more of a natural minor. It's not a Dorian minor. It's not a Phyrigian minor, which is what the first square was. Of your 3 modes, you'd have Phyrigian. The square here would be Dorian, and the split square is Aeolean. And let's examine that on our real fretboard graph here, and what do you know? Like I said, if I started a Dorian, D for Dorian, on the D notes, just by example, the letters match. That's a coincidence. Don't worry about that. Minor, you're starting here. You should have 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. I'm sorry, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. And so, correspondingly, I said the first square filled up is Dorian, and what do you know? D Dorian. So, to get that square back here, I said was Phyrigian. Let's see if I'm right. Okay, here's the square, so if we mounted that in the back of the pentatonic, that means it would have to be 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4. What do you know? We have a fitting pentatonic. That's why I put a little bracket there and wrote pentatonic boxes here, because you've got one that's here, you've got one that's here, and you've got one that's here in all times. I showed this to you in another video a while back. Here's an updated version. Oh, sorry for that drone tone the whole time. I got a way of making these videos, wrecking them halfway through. Anyways, so you'd have a Phyrigian sound here, and then you'd have a, where can we find the Aeolean? Well, wherever that box splits, there should be an A up at the top corner. Hey, look at that. What do you know? A for Aeolean scale, the natural minor. And it's minor, 1, 3. And so, aside from plugging in the, knowing this little code in this box, there's also this tic-tac-toe box right here. I always consider this its own box. Aeolean puts the ears here and here. You need 2 ears on your three post here. Aeolean puts them here and here. Dorian puts them both, hangs them both on the side. And Phyrigian mounts them both up at the top here. Gives you a little box up on the 4th and 5th strings. Now, I could, get all fancy, make another cut in the video and have you look at my guitar, but I think once you start playing this, if you can match this up, if this rings a bell with your mind and you know where to put your fingers based on these boxes and you start playing this stuff on your guitar, you'll start understanding this in no time. So, just to play with that D drone note again. Let's do a major now. D major, so we would have to use the green notes of our pentatonic shape. Finding the D note on the E string at the 10th fret means that the shape will be down some frets, so we'll start with, we'll get 1, 4, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. So you notice right off the bat that number 1, all the notes sound agreeable to the background tone. And none of them have that sad sound to them. They all sound kind of happy. So, I use my ear when I jam around those notes to resolve to a note that I like. So, let's plug in the same exact shapes and see what happens. If I play the square in the back of the box, right? I'm going to go with this. Mixolydian sound, and you know, you'll learn to know that by ear after a while, and you'll just kind of know it by shape too. If you have your root note here and you play your pentatonic shape by adding in the square down here by going, that was this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note. That was an example of me just knowing how to link together all these shapes now in my mind, and now the whole fretboard is one mode. So that's going to be the name of this video. How to make the entire fretboard any mode, anytime. So, let's experiment with some other modes. Using that D drone tone, pedal tone. If that sounded like straight up major, then that's what that was. And I played this shape. I split the box, added in this one, added in this one, ended here, and what did I end up? Ionian. Sounded like basic major. Now I'm going to play another version. I'm going to put the box in the front. See how that sounds very lofty? that's Lydian. Let's see it on the chart. I just focused on putting my square so that my high D note was here, there, and what do you know, Lydian, and coming back down to this note, the major note of the pentatonic, and it's on Lydian. So yep, Lydian. And we already did Mixolydian and major, so there's your 3 and 3, your minor and major. And with that, you should be able to get to any mode, anytime, anywhere on guitar. Now the question is using these modes, and we'll go over that in another video called the, what will I call it? I'll call it the expression list of the modes, and how, why, when, and where to use that. And because this one's been long enough, so hope it wasn't too long, and thank you for watching. So all the way to the end here, have a great day, and that's the end. Thank you for watching, and please, please, please subscribe. Have a great day.